Hey guys, and welcome to Ozzie Reviews, and welcome to November Q A. Now, as you can see around us guys, it's pretty wet. So, you know, in one way I'm certainly not cursing the rain because it's been good, great for the cattle, and geez, it's greened up the farm here really nicely. But on the flip side of it, as for doing shooting videos, it's really put a dampener, pardon the pun, on that. So, but anyhow, it is what it is guys, and there's a lot of areas around that you know are certainly submerged and flooded at the time of doing this video. So you know, I hope where you guys are, you aren't too affected, you know, by the floods. But anyhow, what's new here at Ozzie Reviews? We've had quite a few things happen just in the Australian shooting scene, you know, this month. So you know, we've got WA there with more restrictions happening, chipping away. Last Australian shooter, I hope it's starting to, you know, ring a bell there guys, and people are actually going to do something and go and sit with their local members and get out there and fight this sort of stuff, because there's just going to be nothing left. It's just going to keep chipping away, as I've spoken about countless times. So anyhow, apart from that guys, a few new platforms that I've got set for review. I'm just waiting for obviously the weather to clear up. Also an announcement from another Australian company on an Australian made product for the firearm world. So I can't release anything more because they've asked me to you know, have a look at the product when it's ready for review, and then obviously release details from there. So I'm excited about doing that. So yeah, we've got a few things going on this month, and obviously, you know, Christmas is fast approaching. So anyhow, let's jump into this month's questions and see what we got. Okay, so I've got 10 questions here from Chiller. So he's got a lot of questions he wanted to get my view on. So we'll run through them now. So the first one is, what are my thoughts on mandatory firearm training? Okay, this is a tricky one, because, you know, as soon as you say, well, no, I don't agree with it, you know, out come people with all the emotional catchphrases of, you know, think of the children and think about people's safety and stuff like that. Now, what I don't like is how the government uses the catchphrase safety, public safety. It's all about your safety. I mean, does it ring a bell? You know, with like COVID and everything else that they're doing at the moment, it's just all about your safety. And then they use that, which on the face of it to me looks very appealing, doesn't it? And how can someone argue with keeping people safe? But it's when you dig down from the surface there and see the reasons behind it and the control and also the money that I disagree with. So that's why I disagree with mandatory you know, firearm safety training. I honestly, what would stop you from, you know, having someone who's already licensed there from showing you how to use a bolt action firearm? Seriously? Like, you could do the course really in 5 minutes. Why is there a need to sit down and do multiple choice and then head out to the range, all the rest of it? It's pretty simple, because, you know, when I was 6 years of age, you know, I was shown how to shoot a bolt action rifle. If I can do it at 6 years of age and not do anything wrong, and learn thoroughly and be taught responsibly, then why can't other people go down that route? So that's my view on that one. Next question you got here is my thoughts on background checks. Now, yes, I understand the reason there for the background checks, because obviously, you know, you don't want to have firearms fall in the hands of people who shouldn't have them. In saying that though, let's have a look at the news articles. Let's have a look at the criminals who have got firearms. So A, they either steal them, or B, they manufacture them themselves. So, you know, a background check, yeah, look, at the end of the day, it is what it is. You know, is it super thorough? Well, no, it's just simply going to bring up if someone has mental health issues that are to the degree of being dangerous, or if they've got, you know, criminal history that, you know, would preclude them from having a firearm. What I don't like, once again, pushing further than what I believe, in my view, was the original reason behind background checks. What are they doing now? Is they're using it against you by bringing up your traffic history. So if you've had a speeding ticket, all of a sudden you're not a fit and proper person, which is just absolutely ridiculous in my view. How someone, being given a speeding ticket, suggests that they're not a fit and proper person to own a firearm. How are you not a fit and proper person to own a firearm if you had a speeding ticket? Does it suggest that because you go 10 k's over the speed limit, for example, that all of a sudden you're a threat to yourself and the public with a firearm? Absolutely ridiculous. So there's my answer on that one, mate. Your next question is here about taxes on gun ownership. Do I believe that the taxes are optimal? What is too low, too much, and just all right? Now, guys, just to explain to you, Tira is not from Australia. He lives in Australia now, so he's fairly new to a lot of the laws here. So if some of them seem a little bit basic, like you think that you should know that, well, you have to understand that some people, have newly come to Australia and wanting to get their head around a lot of the things here. The taxes on gun ownership, I mean, look, the normal tax rate is the tax rate here in Australia, like with GST and stuff like that. The tax rate with regards to the cost of PTAs, licensing and everything else to keep a registry running, which costs millions and millions of dollars per year, I think is not necessary, completely unnecessary. I don't see why, from me being a good person, that I've got to go and pay, well, here in Queensland, $40 odd to get permission from the government to say, Mother, may I please go and get that air rifle that I want? Like, really? All it is revenue as far as I'm concerned. That's my viewpoint on it. Next question you got here is my thoughts on licensing, permits, serialisation and registration of firearms. Okay, I've said this for many years, mate. Registration of firearms leads to confiscation. Some people may think that's a bit over the top. Let's just look at the pure facts. Look what we've got so far. What happened after they issued the PTA or the PTAs for the Wedgetail Industries pistol? How'd they get them back? How'd they all go to court on it? Registration. Registration leads to confiscation. All it is a simple list there so that as they come out with new laws and new policies to hamper and restrict firearms, they've already got a list there of who has what. And once again, they hide behind the guise of public safety, in my view. On the licensing side of it, mate, I have mentioned this before as well. I don't see the need for a license personally. I mean, I come from, I guess, the era where we didn't have licenses, and then in 1990 we got a license here in Queensland with no expiry and also no photo on it, so you could still go in and buy what you want. Now, why I say that before anyone gets too upset and crazy about the idea of, oh, Ozzie doesn't believe in licenses. Yeah, I'll tell you why. Because what is the difference between if you were to go into a dealer and show some ID, for example, and then they ended up doing a background check on you, okay? So that goes through live on the system there, and all it's doing is simply bringing up, like I said, the history, like your criminal history, or if there's a history there of domestic violence or, mental illness, etc., etc. So why do I need a license to formalise that? Why should I pay a fee for a license? Why can't that just be done real time when I go into a dealer? Because at the end of the day, not only do you, with the current system, have to have a license, you've then got to double up. When there's a permit to acquire issued, you've then got to have another background check, but then it gets sent out to you. Well, what happens in that transition period from when it gets sent out to you or sent to the dealer there, and say, for example, the next day or the next morning you do something wrong that would normally preclude you from having that PTA or even a license? Well, what happens in that transition period? Where if it was live when you walked into a dealer, then you wouldn't have that issue. So, that's my thoughts on that. Serialisation, that's the same thing as registration there. Okay, so the next question you got here is my thoughts on magazine restrictions. Completely disagree with it. Has nothing to do with firearm ownership as far as I'm concerned, in the sense of whether a person should or should not have a firearm based on its magazine size. I just find it ludicrous. I mean, there's been numerous videos there made you know, even with law enforcement over in the US, showing the difference between, like, for example, a pistol with, say, a 15-round magazine and a pistol with two 10-round magazines. The big advantage, though, obviously, if you have a high capacity magazine, is that you don't have to carry numerous magazines. You know, you can change them quick enough, yes, but do you want to carry a heap of magazines on you, or do you want to just carry a couple on you? You know, so there's my answer to that one, mate. Now, next question you got here are my thoughts on open carry and concealed carry, if it could happen here in Australia. Okay, I've got two thoughts. The short answer is, you know, in a perfect world where all Australian shooters, and there's over 1 million of us, all voted as one, yes, I believe that it could be a possibility under certain circumstances. In reality, though, I mean, you've got shooters who dead set are that apathetic and believe that, you know, no one needs a semi-auto for even a start. Then on top of it, you've got pistol clubs who definitely wouldn't agree to anything, any use of pistols other than at their range, because it's purely money, what we're talking about here. So they're the hurdles that we would have to jump over. Okay, so the next question you got here is, what are my thoughts on homemade weapons, including guns? In the US, it's legal in 40 plus states, and for now, it's the bans on homemade guns that are currently being challenged. Okay, mate, yeah, I mean, it's a hard one because, look, at the end of the day, criminals and technology, they're simply, as they're doing now, as we see in the news reports, they're making 3D printed firearms, aren't they? And the technology is getting better and better. So, you know, at the end of the day, like, if you're not a criminal, I don't see the problem in you having a firearm. You know, if you want to make a firearm, you know, obviously you need to have some skill in doing it too. Like, I can understand where restrictions come in, where they don't want people, you know, making a firearm, for example, themselves and then selling it, okay, like on the market, because then legalities come into it. Like, okay, say for example you made a firearm and then you sold it to me, I go out, put 5 rounds through it, and on the 4th round it blows up on me and then takes half my face off. Well, then there's got to be some legal responsibilities there. So I can understand why currently you need to be a licensed armourer, you know, to be able to make a firearm. So yeah, there has to be a happy balance in my view with that one. Okay, so the next question you got here is my thoughts on the 96 buyback. Was it good or was it a bad buyback? Okay, as most people know, mate, you know, when you're in the lineup handing in firearms in 96, you know, you certainly didn't see a heap of criminals or, you know, bikies coming down and, you know, handing in all their sawn off shotguns and everything else that they had, you know. So, but what you did see is you saw a lot of dealers who absolutely became millionaires out of it. And why I say that is because, you know, you could get old semi-auto like 22 actions, just the old actions rusted out, and you were getting quite a few $100s for them. Yeah, there were a lot of dealers who certainly made their money back then, who have set them up to become some of the biggest dealers and importers to this day. So, you know, do I blame them? Hey, no, certainly not. You know, if I was in the same position and the government had brought in those rules and I had a heap of, you know, old actions that were worth a fortune now, of course you would sell them to the government. So do I think it was a good buyback? No, I don't think it was a good buyback, because I don't think it achieved anything other than taking firearms off good people. Now, a good friend of mine, I remember he was standing in the line up there at Pineapple Street at Zilmere, and on the north side of Brisbane, and he was sobbing as he handed in his semi-auto 22 that his dad had left him, you know, had given him for his 21st birthday, and that was the only memory he had of him, because he was a war veteran, and you know, and he had died, and obviously that rifle was the last memory that that my friend had of his father. So when you see things like that, and this person, you know, was a law-abiding person, you know, had been law-abiding his entire life, still is now, there is absolutely no reason why that 22 should have been taken off him. I have my personal view on it as that behaviour is just downright criminal. absolutely criminal. You can't buy back something that was never for sale in the first place. So that's my view on that. Next question you got here is my thoughts on storage laws and how should it be. Well, I remember as a kid, and I had just a wooden rack near my bed, and I had an SKS there. I had all sorts of shotguns, 22s. I had my Ruger 10-22, and it was just sitting there. The bottom line is firearms don't miraculously jump up during the night and go out on some sort of killing spree. What happens is people who are bad do that. But this is the problem these days, is instead of punishing the criminals, what we see is everything comes back on the good people. So the onus comes back on us to make sure we've got better storage. Oh, we should have better security. Oh, it's our fault we've been broken into. Like, really? How about you use our taxes to actually do something constructive? I don't care. Go and build more prisons and put these bad people away who are continually breaking into people's homes. What I don't understand is the Shooters Union have pushed for this for quite some time, is why don't you have mandatory imprisonment for anyone who steals a firearm? So that anyone who does break into a home and sees a firearm there goes, oh geez, yeah, I'm going to prison for this. And that can at least be a deterrent. But no, it's been voted down numerous times by the Labor government here in Queensland. So, I really just shake my head at it, because they'll just keep pushing the onus back on us as licensed firearm owners, which I disagree with. Why can't you in your own home have firearms, for example, up on the wall so you can just admire them, and it's your place, it's your own house. You should be able to have what you want in it, have it up on the wall, whatever. The onus that I believe as a minimum that comes back on you is if you have visitors or if you have children, then those children are educated properly, or if they're too young, well, you just make sure that there's no ammunition there. They can't just go and put ammunition into a firearm. I mean, people who these days think that that's just completely outlandish, well, I grew up around that. I'm fine. I didn't shoot anyone, didn't shoot myself. So obviously it works. Let's have a look over in the States. There are numerous places in the States, millions and millions of homes that have firearms openly there, whether they're leaning against a wall or whatever. All those people raise children. Yeah, sure, you'll have a few incidences where people are not responsible, because it doesn't matter what industry you're in, whether it's a shooting industry, car industry, I don't care, medical industry, you're always going to have a handful of people who end up doing the wrong thing, whether it's intentionally or via an accident. That's just human nature, but that's the risk we take as human beings in living our lives. We are going to make mistakes, and there's going to be some accidents. That's just the way life is. So do I agree with having storage laws? I think they're personally, I don't agree with them, especially when you come out here on the land. I mean, like right now, for example, I could be sitting here and we're doing this video, and then all of a sudden a couple of wild dogs come up over the hill and try to attack the cattle. So then I've got to run inside, undo the safe, then undo the other safe to get the ammunition out, get everything loaded up. By the time I do that, they're gone. They are gone. And that's the problem that I have with the storage laws, is I believe, at least while you're at home, you should simply not even have to worry about that. I see that as a bit of a balance there, but unfortunately it's the way it is, and they'll use that once again. This is the problem, is on paper everything looks good, but the reality is they then use that to restrict. So what I mean by that is, because what happens with break-ins and because firearms are being stolen, so you watch, the onus will be pushed back on us to get better security and better storage. So that means those of you out there who, say for example, you got a factory job, you don't get paid a lot of money, right? And on the weekends you like to go out with your 22 and your son or your daughter to the range and fire a couple of packs of ammunition because it's cheap, it's all you can afford. So when you come home, you've just got a very basic safe. Say for example, it might be just a couple of mil thick steel. It's bolted into your slab, but it's not 6 or 8 mil thick, so people can get into that safe. So if they then go and change the laws and then require you to have a bigger and better and more expensive safe, well, then you bleed those people out who normally can't afford, to do shooting, okay, under the requirements put down by the government. And that's exactly what you see over in WA. Look at the price of the permit to acquire there. Look at the price of licensing. So that's how they do it, because they can't change the laws outright because it causes too much pushback. All they do is they do it through policy, which requires no voting, nothing. It's just, they just at the stroke of a pen change it and up the fees and everything, and in effect they then bleed people out. So yeah, mate, I a little bit off tangent there, but that's why I don't agree with any of those laws. Now, your last question here, Triller, is how did we lose our gun rights in 1996? Well, look, it's pretty straightforward. When the Port Arthur massacre happened, there was legislation ready to go. And why I say legislation ready to go, if you dig back through the legislation, you can see for a couple of months prior to Port Arthur, that legislation which had these category A, B, C, D firearms in them, it was already there, and they tried to push it through, but they couldn't get it through. And then Port Arthur happened, and then all of a sudden, oh, look at all these laws that we've got ready to go. And of course, once again, the media jumped on board, and there was just absolutely ridiculous sensationalism in my view, and no common sense. And anybody who spoke out about it, would just scream down, Port Arthur, which still goes on to this day. But to me, anyone who just screams that sort of thing doesn't have any sort of educational background or evidence to actually have a proper debate about something. It just frustrates me because, for example, like banning semi-auto 22s. Like seriously? Like not even New Zealand banned semi-auto 22s, and look what happened there recently with the Christchurch shooter. They still can have some pump shotguns, some semi-auto shotguns, some semi-auto 22s. Like, so what's the issue? Australia seems to be pretty much the only place. I mean, you look over in the UK, for example, they're still getting around with semi-auto rimfires there, semi-auto shotguns, no issues, not a problem. But no, not in Australia. If you have that, you've got to be like myself, a primary producer, and you're restricted to your own land, and it's, oh my God, you can't take that anywhere else because, the heavens will fall in. And you just look at it and just go, really? You just start to get really sick of the sensationalism with it all, because in reality, it's a semi-auto 22. But anyhow, that's the way it is. So that's how we end up losing our rights there, obviously, is by the Port Arthur massacre and by the antis who had legislation ready to go at the time, and they cashed in on the emotional state of the government and the public at large. What also frustrates me is there was a fair bit of fighting and there was demonstrations in the streets and so forth back then. I definitely acknowledge that. But at the end of the day, I also acknowledge too, what the government did was dangle the cash cow in front of a lot of big organisations and get them to take that cash cow, because why? They required club membership for the majority of people to hold a firearm licence. So when they're pushing for laws and then they offer a big cash cow, guys, you make up your own mind. But my personal belief is a lot of people will fold for the almighty dollar at the end of the day. Okay, next question I got here is from Steve, and he says, "Hi Ozzie, just wondering what you think might happen with the new Nazi segregation laws coming into effect on December 17 here in Queensland. My wife and I choose to remain unvaccinated, and we're concerned we may not be able to go to our local range to complete our Cat H requirements. We've discussed it and we're both willing to give up our Cat H and handguns if need be, but we're hoping this won't be the case. Cheers, mate." Okay, mate, two thoughts on it. Yeah, I sort of had a bit of a chuckle because, there's so many people out there that go, oh, it's just ridiculous. How can you, compare it to the World War II and the Nazi reign? Well, it's pretty simple. I'm not saying unvaccinated people are being, exterminated, but they're being precluded from basic human rights of just simply being able to go into a cafe and have a meal because they're unvaccinated. Guys, it frustrates the hell out of me. And Steve, to answer your question, mate, it does annoy me because at the time of doing this video, this new, is it Omicron or something, variant of COVID has miraculously appeared, and from the news reports brought into the country by 2 people who are currently vaccinated against COVID. So, you know, let's be honest, guys. Yeah, can you really, what's the word I'm looking for here? Can you really blame people who are unvaccinated from not wanting to just go out there and be vaccinated? I mean, you can still get it, you can still spread it, but yeah, will the effects be as bad if you're unvaccinated? Well, that seems to be the big argument, and look, I'm not a medical professional, okay? So I can only hold the view that I do have, guys, and that's that I do not believe in mandatory vaccination. And I believe that if someone wishes to be vaccinated or they wish to be unvaccinated, I personally have no issue with either of them because it's their own freedom of choice to do so. If the government really was serious about it, instead of forcing people to be vaccinated, you know, if I was in that position of power, I guess that my personal view would be, okay, well, if I've got medical evidence, for example, that suggests that being vaccinated is certainly going to lower, you know, the degree of sickness or illness that you get, and if you're unvaccinated and you get COVID, it's going to put a strain on the healthcare system, for example, we'll get people to sign a waiver saying that, you know, if they remain unvaccinated, they take it on their own shoulders if they end up in ICU and should pay for that. I, for one, would be quite happy to sign that waiver and go, yep, no, I'll take that on my own shoulders and that will be my responsibility. So, you know, that's my thoughts on it there, mate. As for the handgun stuff, look, I know I sort of went off, you know, talking about it as a whole there, but they're definitely going to do it. 100%. I am convinced of that. Because once again, COVID is just, I see it as a front for them to be able to push for whatever really that they would like to push with their own agenda. And, you know, how can you possibly argue with keeping everyone safe? So yeah, I agree that it'll come in. You'll have to be vaccinated to go to a range. Next question I got here is from Matt, and he says, hi Ozzie, hope you're doing well. Just wondering if it's possible to install a red dot on the 20-inch Akkar 3. Cheers, mate. No, I believe you can't. Mate, I thought they had a rib along the top, but because I reviewed the 28-inch version of the Akkar 3 all those years ago, and obviously it does. So, you know, I was thinking to myself, well, like the Aimpoint Micro S1, which is, you know, a shotgun red dot, that would obviously, you know, fit on perfectly, but yeah, the 20-inch doesn't have that. So I don't know of any other way. I'm thinking, is there a way to possibly, you know, manipulate that front sight there to have some sort of mount on it? But even then, like, that's a distance from your eye, then that's a fair way. I'd probably just leave that fibre optic on the front myself. I honestly don't know any other way, mate. The only thing that I could think of, and this is going out a little bit on a limb here, is possibly send an email to Nyala and ask them. And you never know, like if there was enough demand, you know, for some sort of mounting facility, you know, perhaps they can be in touch with Akkar and, you know, and have something made up or a modification to the 20-inch version. Because I know personally, if it was me, I mean, a red dot on that 20-inch version would just be awesome. You know, it'd be a great little scrub gun, and especially for that fast sight acquisition and shooting from there. So that would be my recommendation there. Okay guys, so that concludes this month's Q&A. Thank you very much to all of you who have submitted your questions there, and we'll catch you on the next review.